Hi, I'm Betsy Jordan, and this is Behind the Curtain IMO. I wanted to bring this to you guys' attention because it is coming up in the ethers about RFK now endorsing Trump. You need to know that I feel for people who are saying, look, we're tired of this just being a two-party system. I get it. We're tired of this being the same old, same old. I get it. What happened with Trump being the nominee and Joe Biden being our nominee, I can only speak to from the Democratic Party side. I have no clue what happened on the Trump side of things, except it was probably something similar to, you had a president at one time, he was able to amass these certain amount of votes, and therefore you feel certain kind of loyalty to that. He won once, he can win again. That's kind of how the role of the incumbent person is. The person who's already held the office, has won before. And if they're doing a good job, which Biden was doing and is doing, then you want to keep them. And you already had people contributing to their campaign and that sort of thing. The DNC is a Democratic Party. It's a Democratic National Committee. And the way that they select their nominee is through a delegate selection process. And that delegate selection process really depends on who shows up at precinct meetings and who gets elected at precinct meetings, who goes on to county meetings and gets elected at county meetings, who gets elected at state meetings, and then who gets elected to be a delegate on the federal level from these Democratic Party group meetings. So I don't know how it works with the Green Party. I don't know how it works with the Republican Party. I don't know how it works with the Poor People's Campaign. I don't know how it works for them at all. I can only speak to how it works for the Democratic Party. So they do not have to nominate anyone. It's not that they are controlling anyone's votes either. So sadly, there's some people who really wholeheartedly supported Kennedy in his bid for the presidency, and he suspended his campaign. It's certainly well within his purview to do that. He can certainly do that. But it's not because the Democratic National Committee or anybody involved in the Democratic Party shut him out. It's that he was shut out himself. We had already had delegates that were committed to Biden at the time that he asked to be considered, right? He then went to put his name on the ballots in several states, and I think he got the ability to do that. I think he petitioned to do that, was successful. When we were vetting him, I understand that there were some loans he did not declare, and that's an ethics violation, and so he wouldn't have been considered for the Democratic National Committee's choice of nominees anyway. But that didn't mean he couldn't put his name up. When Kamala Harris was told, that President Biden's stepping aside, I think she knew this before a lot of us knew this because she was the vice president. She already had a foundation of an agenda that she had already been working toward and working for. So, of course, President Biden had already chosen her as his VP. He was going to choose her as someone he would endorse. Part of that was to avoid any sort of upheaval so that we could actually win this election. And that's the point. So he endorsed Kamala, and then Kamala got to work. And she got to work calling all the delegates because she did not assume that they would make her the Democratic nominee. Anyone could have called those delegates and asked them to do that. Anyone at all, but they didn't. And so she ended up locking down the delegate selection. They voted for her and chose her partly because they believed in Joe Biden, our president. That carries a lot of weight. When you believe in somebody, you voted for them, they are president of the United States, and they endorse someone, you're likely to follow suit. That just makes sense. It's common sense, actually. So, basically none of the Democratic nominations activities or actions had anything to do with RFK. No matter what people are saying about the DNC shutting them out and that sort of thing, the attacks on the DNC are really about getting press attention, I'm afraid. And I don't want to hurt anybody or hurt anybody's feelings or whatever that is, but we do have a two-party system that's dominating. Part of that is because the campaign finance laws probably need to be changed. Not probably, they do. Too much is decided based on who has the most money. Too much is decided based on how much coverage you can get based on your campaign's advertising budget. Too much of that is ruled by, pundits making comments on your candidate or not. So it still does, the mainstream press has a lot of influence. That is becoming democratized, however, by what is happening with the internet, and the internet being the great equalizer. And as more and more areas get broadband, then there'll be more and more participation, and the landscape of advertising will change. The algorithms are something that are to be considered, but by and large, you can start reaching people in a myriad of ways that were not available to us a few years ago. So I just wanted to explain to you the process, explain that you're going to hear some things about how bad the DNC is, and understand that it is a two-party system. It is an unfortunate thing that money is driving the train. But also, I'll just say that all the reasons that people want to be free in this country, all of those reasons that I heard and that I heard at the convention and heard afterwards, all of those reasons are a reason to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, because they do support equal rights for all people. And instead of domination, they support freedom. So do your own research. This is Behind the Curtain. I'm Betsy Jordan. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you.